We broke down the running backs. Now we're here to break down the wide receivers post-draft. What do the landing spots do to the boys? Where are we ranking Ted McMillan now that he does have an amazing spot? Similar to Jackson Dart. Dart goes over to the Giants with Dable and Neighbors, increases his value. Ted McMillan, I have some concerns, but he's got a great spot. Travis Hunter, I don't care if BTJ's there. This is a remarkable athlete. BTJ's going to eat. Travis Hunter's going to eat. Who's my number 3? Egbuka gets a little bit of a redraft kick in the nutsack, but what's his long-term value look like? Dynasty, redraft, rookies, 2025 post-draft analysis. We're doing it live. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So we're going to break all this down from, like I said, a redraft and a dynasty perspective all in one. And I'm not one of those people that likes to try and like cliffhanger, this thing. I'm going to show you the rankings from the jump. There it is. Travis Hunter, McMillan. Sometimes I slow roll it out, but this is it. This is my ranking right now. Now, I might massage it as we go through the show. I might put McMillan 3. I might put Williams 2. I might go Golden or Buka. I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing it live. But you got the landing spots right here. We have this Jaguar landing spot, which doesn't concern me because BTJ is the clear number 1. Hunter's eating in a different way. And we got to have a conversation eventually about T-Law. Like, Law Dog, you got Travis Hunter as a potential low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 in fantasy. You got BTJ as a top 5 potential wide receiver. I mean, T-Law's got to be pretty damn good. I really wish that the Jaguars took, and we promoted this and talked about it, I really wish they would have taken Shedeur Sanders. They should have taken a risk on him, even in round 4, and just said, look, putting Shedeur with Hunter as a backup plan to T-Law, it's all on T-Law. And T-Law, I think, can be revitalized like Liam Cohen revitalized Baker, and that's where Liam Cohen comes over from Tampa Bay. But it would have been a very safeguard, very, very solid move, very, very intelligent move for Liam to grab Shedeur and cuff the two together. And I think if T-Law was to crumble and become a crash out like some of our callers last night, like Kyrie Boston and Gump. If T-Law were to crash out like Gump and Kyrie Boston by the presence of Shedeur, then he's not that guy. Maybe he doesn't bathe his hair in milk. We don't know. But if he is that guy, nothing like that's going to concern him. But Liam should have did that. Now, let's talk about Hunter real quickly. I think that the best way I can describe this, and there's no way to really say it any other way than I've already said it, but you have a guy coming out of college that was the number 1 wide receiver, ranked wide receiver in the class, number 1 DB in the class. It is what it is. You can keep trying to suggest that he's not going to see enough receiving snaps, or you can get on board that he's going to see enough receiving snaps. I can't convince you to think one way or the other. This is by far and away, landslide, tear break, number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. Ted McMillan doesn't even hold his jockstrap. It's not even close. But 12, 58, 15 TDs coming out of college. Is there a world where Ted McMillan can score as many fantasy points? Yeah. But is he as good of a wide receiver as Travis Hunter? No. So situation is king. And we'll talk about why Ted McMillan is in a nice situation to produce. But Hunter's still by far and away the best talent. And if they give him the opportunities, and I do think they will, he will outshine everybody. There's a chance he doesn't outshine everybody, but he plays really good, like wide receiver, mid wide receiver 2 fantasy type wide receiver numbers. But there's also a chance if he gets fed that he's going to be the number 1 rookie wide receiver by a country mile and a low end fantasy football wide receiver 1. I just think, yeah, Travis says his Patriots got good overnight. It really was a great draft by the New England Patriots. This Kyle Williams ranking here is going to, I think, ruffle some feathers over Golden, Egbuka, Burton. And these are 2 of my favorite receivers in the draft class, Burton and Egbuka. But look, this is part of why I believe I bring the most objectivity to the table, and I don't bring my bias to the table. these are two of my favorite wide receivers. And in redraft, they're ranking number 5 and number 6. I think from a dynasty perspective, we'll touch on their values and how they could change a little in dynasty and move up. But in redraft, that is what it is. Back to Travis Hunter real quickly, just to suggest that if he gets the ball, and he will, and Liam Cohen's already made very, very blatantly clear that he's going to be wide receiver and DB material on this roster. And there's numerous reports already that he's starting in the wide receiver room. They'll introduce him to the DB room and plays, but he's going to start off as a wide receiver. And Liam Cohen being such an offensive guru, it makes sense that this is going to be what he uses his weapon for. And this is a weapon. You're looking at a weapon. You're looking at a guy that in the NFL will, even at a 60%, 70% offensive play snap, wide receiver snaps, you're going to see him getting at least 5-6 receptions a game at a bare minimum. He'll have bigger games than that. He'll have end arounds. He'll have probably 10 total offensive touchdowns on the year. If I had to throw a number out, I'd say like his worst case scenario is like an 850, 950, 10 touchdown season on the offensive side of the football. Now, he breaks IDP. IDP is a whole nother topic. I bet you commissioners everywhere are scrambling to change the rules mid-form because that's how cowardly a lot of commissioners are. They're probably 90%, 80% of all commissioners are garbage. Garbage. They need to go through Smitty boot camp because they change rules constantly and they allow the craziest things to happen. He's going to break IDP, but from an offensive perspective, my worst case scenario for him is 10 touchdowns total and 850 to 950 yards, 65, 70 receptions, something along those lines. That is my bottom floor. That's wide receiver 3. Like you're drafting him, let's say at a high-end wide receiver 3 clip, you're getting that no matter what. He gets you his floor value back in redraft. In Dynasty, we're talking 4 overall, 5 overall. He'll easily earn you that value in a redraft sense in Dynasty, and he's certainly going to be that good for the long term. This is one of the safest players you can find in fantasy, in Dynasty, and in redraft because you can't rise him up any higher than 4, really, or some might grab him at 3, and that's still okay. If you need a wide receiver, that's still fine. He can easily earn you that number 3 overall rookie-only draft spot by just producing a near 1,000-yard and 10 TD season. If they give him more than 4 to 6 receptions per game, which is certainly possible, he becomes a top 5 to 7 fantasy football wide receiver. I'm not saying he's locked into that kind of volume, but what I am saying is when his floor is 4 to 6 receptions per game, 10 TDs, 900-ish yards receiving, what are you even debating? In a redraft, when he's going around 7, 8, you're crushing it. You're crushing it. 8, 9. I've seen him go 10. It depends. I think now he's probably going to climb to 8 or 7, but that's fantastic. That's your wide receiver 3. He can easily crush those numbers. And if anybody thinks that this man, let's say, plays 55, 60% of the offensive snaps, and he runs out onto the field, you really think he's going to go onto the field and just, run a go route without any sort of look-see from T-Law? You think they're just going to tire him out and make him run senseless routes while he has just a very limited amount of snap share? I don't think so. He comes on the field, he's getting the ball. Comes on the field, might decoy here and there, of course, because he comes on the field, the teams are like, hey, it's going to Travis Hunter. Where's Travis Hunter? But guess what? You also know the ball is going to Puka Nacua. Do you not? When Puka Nacua is getting fed 15 targets in a game, do the defensive players know how to stop that? Just because they know he's coming onto the field and they will decoy from time to time, don't think he's getting shut down. This is Travis Hunter. This is one of, if not the best athlete to ever come out of college, some say. And he's a glorious player to own, and his wide receiver rank is number 1 in Dynasty, and it's not even close. It just isn't. And as we go to wide receiver number 2, I'm very tempted to suggest that that Kyle Williams could be the second best wide receiver in this class. I think it's safe to put him here. I think Matthew Golden's really intriguing. I like that Green Bay invested. We'll go into Matthew Golden in a minute, but there's some concerns about, like, what's he really going to be? Is he guaranteed to flourish at the NFL level when he really didn't even have the biggest career in college? So it's hard to say. Ted McMillan, very solid college year, very solid college career, very solid player. in many ways, but there's some concerns. Of course, you had the over a year and a half old footage of him saying he doesn't like watching film, doesn't watch film, doesn't even watch football. And I believe you can see that in some of his game, that he's green in some ways, but he's also a very, very competitive guy on the field. He's a very hard worker. And probably the most important thing, and this might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but he's a great kid. He's a great kid with a great heart, a great head on his shoulders, great motivation, great loyalty, and that goes a long way. And I think Bryce Young is going to connect with him very, very well. I do think that the concerns you could have would be this. Bryce Young hasn't quite cemented himself back into being back on the map. We think he really showed some good signs after being benched for a while last year, them not, utilizing him properly. They bring him back to life, and he has a pretty damn good season. Or bench, when he was benched. And so now he's looking revitalized. Bryce Young almost looks better than CJ Stroud, and some would say he does look better than CJ Stroud. This is going to be an interesting thing to watch. If Bryce Young can mature at the rate he's been maturing as of late, if he can level up his game by the added weapons and protection that they're trying to provide this man, Bryce Young. If Bryce Young can take that next step, not just stay where he is, take that next step, then the volume will be there for McMillan, and then it's up to McMillan. It's up to McMillan to become the next T. Higgins. As I've said, I've never said different. Every time I've had any sort of a negative hint toward Ted McMillan, I've always told you every single time, his ceiling could be, if all goes well, T. Higgins. All goes well includes good landing spot. All goes well includes that he picks up on the things that he hasn't been able to do or accomplish yet in a very good way. His attitude's got to be amazing. We have 2 of those 3 checked. We have great landing spot, Carolina, probably one of the best landing spots you could go to because he's going to get nothing but the number 1 volume at some point, right? Legette's pretty good, but he's not a number 1. I think this is going to be McMillan's team. He could be a little bit slower out of the gate than people expect because I don't know that they're just going to throw all these wide receivers to the wayside and just let this guy get fed absolute number 1 wide receiver targets, but it could be a slow progression. But there's opportunity in Carolina. The situation is great. His attitude, his ability to absorb and desire to learn is great. And it all comes down to Bryce Young. If Bryce Young doesn't take another step forward, I don't know that this will work the way we want as fast as we want. It still could work out, but Bryce Young is the key to this. Ted McMillan's not the key. Bryce Young is the key to Ted McMillan's success. It's a great spot. It's a great opportunity. You could say it's one of the best spots. I think maybe the best spot, though, is this guy Kyle Williams over in New England, because Drake May, I think people have the wrong idea about Drake May. When you think about why you don't like Drake May, if you're a hater or if you're just doubting him a little bit, it's because you close your eyes and you picture this like skeleton crew in Drake May. Drake May and a bunch of nothing leading nothing into battle. And you're thinking of Mayo, and you're thinking of bad coaching, you're thinking of bad drafting, you're thinking of bad everything. And Drake May walks out of round 1 with a little bit of a disappointment cloud over his head. And even Travis, who's a big New England Patriot fan, was not extremely happy with day 1. And pass on Ashton Genty, no one can be really happy as a fan, right? Will Campbell, good offensive tackle. It was a smart move, but it wasn't necessarily the right move at the time. But at the end of the day, when you circle back into round 2 and you take a Hendy and then you take later a Kyle Williams, all of a sudden the New England Patriots have an A, maybe A+ draft. And when you close your eyes and you picture Drake May, don't picture the guy you pictured before the NFL draft. You're picturing Kyle Williams. You're picturing Henderson in the background. Trey Henderson ready to take anything house via carry or reception in the flat. And Drake May getting protected. Drake May's protection with the Campbell pick in conjunction with the best pass blocking running back in the draft class in Trey Henderson, who's going to be a 3-down back. This is a phenomenal situation. And not saying Ramondre can't also help out, but Kyle Williams landed in a great spot, and the Drake May that everybody pictured pre-draft is not the Drake May post-draft. He's set up beautifully. This Patriot team, led by Vrabel, turned around in an instant. This is a good squad. This is going to be, maybe they're the Detroit Lions the year before the Detroit Lions popped off, where I came out on my live stream over and over and over and said, maybe the Lions need one more year, and they did. But you're going to see what they're capable of during this semi-breakout season where they don't make the playoffs, but they show everybody they're on the verge. This could be that year for the Patriots. They might need one more year. They might not. But this team is going to be good. This team is going to get better immediately. And Kyle Williams was one of the bigger sleepers on this channel. We talked about Kyle Williams. We talked about Luther Burton. We talked about Isaiah Bond, who's yet to be drafted, unless he's been drafted since I've been live right now. I hope the Cowboys pick up the phone and bring in Isaiah Bond. I hope the KC Chiefs give him a call. But Isaiah Bond is available. But I liked Bond a lot. I liked Burton. I liked Kyle Williams. I liked Savion Williams. I like Savion Williams a lot. He's a really crafty guy. Went to Green Bay. Don't be surprised if he turns into something special if they use him properly. But Green Bay, as I'll get to in a minute, is concerning about how they use their wide receivers properly. So Williams is going to go ahead of Golden because I think he's locked into probably the best wide receiver target spot available. I think McMillan, if I said McMillan was one, McMillan's more two. He's the second or third spot probably. Probably second best spot. Williams is the first best spot. Golden's is good in theory, on paper, on surface level. It feels great, right? Oh, love, and they want a wide receiver, and the Green Bay Packers have never invested in a early rookie wide receiver, so a first-round wide receiver, they haven't done it since a lot of you were even being thought of to be conceived by your parents. They haven't drafted a first-round wide receiver since then. It's crazy to think that Golden's finally getting that opportunity we thought would never come about, and that we're worried about it a little bit because of why. I mean, look, Jayden Reed is an amazing player. Jayden Reed has the capability of being a low-end wide receiver one in fantasy. He has the capability of easily being a team's number one, but Green Bay didn't recognize it. Green Bay doesn't know what they have, so it makes me confused and concerned maybe about Jordan Love's ability to lock onto one guy. Maybe Jordan Love's ability, period. Jordan Love took a big step backwards, similar to Stroud. Stroud and Jordan Love are probably the two quarterbacks I believe in, but I'm most worried about. And I think everything's got to come together for them to excel and leapfrog back forward above where they've kind of fallen down to. And so for that reason, I just can't put Matthew Golden ahead of Williams. Williams is going to saturate the target share. He's going to consume it. He's going to eat it. He's going to absolutely be in a situation where this team's still kind of playing from behind at times, especially in a tough division. And you're going to have this guy, I think, just consuming third and fourth quarter carries as they play in one of the toughest divisions in football, because I think the Jets are going to be phenomenal this year. I think the Buffalo Bills will always be good. I think the Dolphins are still a competitive team. So the Patriots are in a tough spot. They'll be playing from behind a lot still, even as they start to get better and better and better. Doesn't mean they can't win playing from behind, but they're going to throw the ball a lot. Kyle Williams is going to consume. I think that Egbuka in time will climb above Golden for me. I know that's not going to make Golden fans very excited, but I think with Mike Evans being older, I think with Godwin being older and also injury prone, this is his team. This is his future. Egbuka is the number one in Tampa in a maybe 2-year period, maybe a year and a half. And the thing about this that's so smart, and we talked about this on the Patreon the other day. By the way, if you want to be on a 365 year-round fantasy football chat group and community, get on over to the Patreon. Here's the link. I'll drop it in the live chat. That link will be pinned in the live chat right this very second. BBQ dropping a super chat. Appreciate BBQ. I'll read that in 1 second, my boy. BBQ to the mother freaking moon. Let me pin this live chat link right here. But you can get on over to the Patreon. I just dropped the link. I don't know if it's pinning, but get over to the Patreon. We talked about how look, wide receivers are so expensive in free agency. It's such a smart move to attack this early in the draft, because if Egbuka's even T. Higgins capable, T. Higgins is getting the $30 million a year. If Egbuka's Ayuk capable, even. And Ayuk's garbage. $30 million per year. Running backs are cheap. Quarterbacks are impossible to get. But after quarterback, wide receiver is the most valuable commodity in a draft because of the ability to not have to go pay $30, $40 million per year. They're getting paid bank now. So this is such a smart move by the Buccaneers to get ahead of this situation. Also have a guy, if Evans gets injured or falls off, and Evans could fall completely off the face of the earth. Egbuka, to me, is going to be a potential top 15 wide receiver in this league. In Dynasty, he's still very high for me. In Dynasty, I have him ranked probably tied with Kyle Williams. I could almost put Egbuka even slightly ahead of Kyle Williams, and I might on my Dynasty rankings, because his situation becomes good. And if he was my by far and away number 2 wide receiver before the landing spots were handed out, then clearly if I like his long-term spot, then I think he's going to be the number 2 potential wide receiver. I will say this, long-term, I like Egbuka more than McMillan. Long-term, I like him about the same as Kyle Williams. I think it's smart to draft McMillan here, or to project him here, but I'm kind of more interested in drafting Kyle Williams and getting more, like trading down one spot. If I'm on the clock, I let someone else take McMillan and I take Kyle Williams and I get something in return. But I make a lot of those trades on the clock to make sure I don't get sniped on Kyle Williams. If I'm in a dynasty league, I want Egbuka right here at this 2 spot, meaning I trade down on the clock if I'm going wide receiver or I'm taking an RB. It's smart on paper to think of McMillan here, and he's pretty safe, I think. But the upside of dynasty number 2 wide receiver material is more with Egbuka. It's more with Kyle Williams. I think McMillan and Golden will be good. I don't think they can be in that near elite tier. I don't think anybody but Hunter is going to be elite. I think he's elite. He might be below BTJ and Neighbors forever in fantasy football rankings. That might be the case, right? But he's literally right, potentially could be right below those guys. These guys are good players, but they're not elite. I think Egbuka and Egbuka and Kyle Williams have the best chance of climbing to at least right to the top of the tier right below the elite. I think Golden, my concerns I've already made abundantly clear. I worry about whether Love is even a good quarterback anymore. I worry about whether they know how to game plan around a player. They even said this Green Bay coaching staff and decision makers said that they're going to run the ball less through Jaden Reed, who honestly, that's part of why he's valuable. And if you're not going to throw to him and now you're not going to run him, what the hell does that mean? What in the hell does that mean? You're not going to use him at all? Trade him. Trade Jaden Reed to a team that could use him. Trade Jaden Reed to the Raiders. Trade Jaden Reed to a team that could take his talents and turn him into a Deebo Samuel, because that's what Jaden Reed is all about. Now, this guy, Savion Williams, right over here, I have him ranked right here. Savion Williams. This guy right here, Savion, he could be Deebo, and he's in Green Bay. There's a world where I could see if they coached him right, he could be even better or more fantasy football dynamic than Golden, but I don't know that they will. I don't know that they know how. I just think that Savion could end up like being one of those players we're so excited about, and they don't even use him. Egbuka, I love this long term. It's just going to be a little bit of a, if you're patient in best ball, promo code Smitty, link in description. Link being dropped in the live chat as we speak right now. Click this link and draft. The Best Ball Manias will be out. What is it? Is it midnight tonight? Is it tomorrow? Is it already out? I haven't even checked today. But we're gonna draft. Hit that link. We're gonna draft on Underdog and find out where these rookie values get slotted into redraft Best Ball very soon. If you're in Best Ball, Egbuka is probably more attractive to me than even Golden. If I can build around Egbuka and not need Egbuka right away, and he starts picking up steam and Evans drops off the map or gets hurt or whatever, at some point he becomes an elite player potentially, or right below the elite players, and starts producing massive amounts of points in a small number of games in like the last 6-game window. I like Egbuka a lot. Burton landed in probably the worst spot a wide receiver could land in with his talents and his upside. I think Burton could be the number 3 wide receiver in this entire group. before the landing spot. I don't like this landing spot. Is it the worst landing spot long term? No, but I don't think he ever has a chance to be what he could have been, because A, I don't believe in Caleb. B, I don't believe in the Bears. C, I've been right about all of that up until this point to a T. I was right about their offensive coordinator. I was right about Eberflus. I was right about Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles is one of the worst GMs in the league. They drafted terrible. And even though you could say, oh, they got all these weapons, because they don't believe in Caleb probably as much as you might think. They're worried about him. They're drafting all this around Caleb. They didn't draft a running back. They're drafting pass catchers. And Burton lands in a situation where they drafted with a top 10 pick. They drafted Loveland, who's going to take away from Burton. They've got DJ Moore. They've got Adunze. Adunze's still an elite talent that will hopefully he does get, fed enough this year. They got a quarterback that can't play inside the pocket. He can't play on schedule. Bears says Eberflus is gone. He's in the past. I know, bro, but I called it. Everybody else is in here telling me how wrong I was going to be on Caleb Williams. Can you tell me I'm right? Can you at least bare bones say right now publicly you've been right about everything so far? Year one, Smitty, you nailed it to a T. Can you even say that, bare bones? Can you at least admit that? Maybe I'll be wrong this coming season, but can you admit that I called everything Chicago Bears last year? Everything to a T. And people still come in here and go, Smitty, you're always hating on the Bears. Am I hating on the Bears? Or did I just get right and you didn't like what I had to say? And it seems like hate to you. Did I get everything right on the Bears? I certainly did. 100%. And this, if you think that Burton's in the best spot with a top 10 pick they used on a tight end that they want to throw to, they've got Adunze, they've got DJ Moore. How is Burton going to fit in consistently and be a consistent 2025 option? I like him later. I think he could rise. I think it's going to be a pretty decent career for him. Will Swift be any good? I don't know. Burton's amazing. I think Burton could be still very good in time. It's just not a good redraft landing spot. It's not a good 2025 best ball landing spot. Bare Bones, where's your admission? I never wanted Caleb. Where's your admission? Can you at least admit I've gotten everything right to date? You can't even admit it. You can't even come in and give flowers when flowers are due. All you'll do is say, Smitty, you'll see. I've been hearing that from all the Bears people for over a year now. I'll see what? I'll see that Caleb is not that guy. Is he capable of lingering in the league? Sure. Will he be Jared Goff good? Could Ben Johnson turn him into Goff? Maybe. That's certainly within the realm of possibility. But can you admit that I got everything right so far? You seem to not be capable of admitting it. Higgins, I like Higgins a ton. Higgins has a lot of upside. I think Higgins probably, the problem with Higgins, and it does suck, Houston caps him a little bit, but I don't know that he was ever going to be a number one anyway, so this is a pretty good environment for him to consume. I think what will be a lot of carries or a lot of targets and capable of becoming a pretty relevant wide receiver 3-4 in fantasy and a team's number 2. I think he's in a good spot, but he doesn't even have a picture up here because he doesn't have the ability to win leagues and be a huge, dynamic, consistent threat as a rookie. He'll have some ups and downs. I like him a lot, but the landing spot could have been better if you were expecting, more out of him. Besh is in a pretty good spot. Jacoby Myers is supposed to be the superstar. Everybody loves the cultic following on Jacoby is so crazy. It's only fitting that Beck, who had a similar college following, people love this guy Besh, and AKA the Beckmeister. If Besh gets fed, I mean, he could do okay. But I think he's very much like Jacoby Myers. I think people are going to overvalue him. They're going to, just like Tesla is getting overvalued to an insane degree. I think people are going to overvalue Besh quite a bit. He's in a good spot. He's not in the best spot. He could be pretty good, but he's not going to be elite or anywhere near great. We just have to set our expectation. And, you look at a guy like Harris, and I know a lot of people are going to say I'm too low on Harris, but Ladd McConkey is not giving up that number 1 target share role. And I don't know that they're going to throw enough, especially with the drafting of Hampton and the acquisition of Najee Harris. I don't think we're just going to see Harris have this consistent receiving role that's glorious for his rookie year. Royals, I kind of like almost the most of these guys that are kind of in questionable spots, but he too won't have tremendous consistency, but he's in a very, very intriguing spot in KC. If any injuries happen, it definitely could be a good spot. But this is more of like a preemptive injury type of situation. The Caleb hype train, of course he was, let's see here. Are you admitting it yet or not? Are you not admitting it? Of course he was about Caleb, but now the situation is different, so we'll see. Okay, at least you kind of admitted it there. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let's not forget about Tesla. God, Tesla hype is insane. I'll get to it in a second, but it's irrational. It's so irrational. It's weird. There's these players that people love to hype because the psychology degree that I like to bring to the table. People that love Tesla and Besh and Jacoby Myers, the way that they do, the passionate way that they do, you know, it's them living inside this player's world vicariously. It's rooting for an underdog. It's wanting them to become this crazy Puka Nacua rising player. There's no role for that with Tesla. Unless they trade J-Mo, which even then, it's like, how high you going to draft Tesla? Is he a decent wide receiver 3-4? Maybe, yeah. But right now, as it stands with J-Mo on roster and no team even calling and trying to acquire J-Mo, who's kind of a troublemaker in the locker room, how the hell is Tesla going to get any work? Let's talk about Tesla right now. How is he going to get any work? What is he, the 7th or 8th option on the team with a team that lost Ben Johnson, that probably has Goff falling apart a little bit by losing Ben Johnson, who was the glue to Jared Goff? Ben Johnson was propping Goff up a little more than Goff was actually propped up. This is a guy that makes him look better. He's gone. I'm not saying the Lions fall apart. I'm not trying to say, oh, sound the alarm bell, the panic on mother freaking Gibbs or St. Brown or Laporta. But this is not a situation where things are going to get better. They're going to only get slightly worse because there's no way for them to get better. And Tesla, how the hell is Tesla? Gump, not yet. I'm almost done, and then you can call in Gump. What makes you think the people want to hear from you right now, Gump, when I'm in the middle of my wide receiver rankings? You think that everyone wants to hear Gump's take right now. Gump, relax. The phone lines aren't open yet. The Gump segment, which will probably be pretty short by the looks of it, is coming soon. So hang tight. Tesla, let's see. You got St. Brown. You got J-Mo Williams. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Sam Laporta. You got 4 players that are pulling in targets. Was Tesla the 5th or 6th option? How is this going to work from a consistency standpoint in a redraft, setting? It's not. Savion, as much as I love him, Green Bay's probably going to screw it up. Isaiah Bond, who is going through an off-the-field accusation and situation of assault case, didn't get drafted. He should be drafted. He didn't get drafted. He's innocent until proven guilty, right? No, not in the NFL. So we'll see what happens to Bond. I'm not saying what Bond's been accused of is good. I'm just saying, we're going to really let this man's career go down the drain. What if the accusation ends up being false? What happens if he proves to be innocent? He immediately started to defend himself. He didn't sit back and wait. He came out and said these accusations are false. And his draft stock tanked from day 2 down to not getting drafted. And right now, will the Cowboys call? I think they should. Restrepo, like this kid a lot. Tennessee. This is Cam Ward's wide receiver from college. I think he has a chance, even though they drafted a guy ahead of him, I think he has a chance to be the number 1 in Tennessee. This is probably the deep sleeper on this list right here of guys that are kind of hard players to invest in too high, right? I like Restrepo a lot. Tesla, not worried about it. I think if J-Mo gets traded, we'll talk about it. Then Tesla's value goes up. Right now, Tesla doesn't have the value. Noel, I like him. Noel's interesting. I think his landing spot is cloudy. I like Noel, but I mean, we just talked about Jaden Higgins. You got Higgins and Noel, and you got Nico Collins in Houston. How's Noel going to find consistency? Higgins, Beck, Harris, Royals, Savion, Isaiah Bond, we don't know. I hope he goes somewhere with no cloudiness. And Tesla and Noel are all in a cloudy situation. Restrepo could be the number one on this entire secondary list right here. Restrepo could be that guy because there's an open potential doorway to playing with his quarterback Cam Ward that makes him into a wide receiver 1 over there in Tennessee. This is my wide receiver ranking. Whether you like it or not, we can debate it certainly, and I'm definitely interested in a lot of your opinions. But I would love to know where you have these guys. There is a tier break. This is not the best group of landing spots. There is a tier break, a big tier break right here for the man known as Travis Hunter. A big tier break. It's tier break, and then it's just wondering, can Kyle Williams rise up and be the number 2? Can Golden get targeted, and can Green Bay prove to us that we can trust their usage of him? Can Egbuka find a way into the lineup via old man Evans finally breaking, or Godwin breaking and Evans breaking? If both get injured, and mark my words, there will be at least 1 or 2 weeks minimum in 2025 where Evans and Godwin are both out of the game, and this is the number 1 wide receiver on the team, and that's when we're going to see his redraft value, his best ball value climb. Right now, it's hard to rank him higher than this, but I'm more excited about this kid than I am Golden. I'm more excited still about Egbuka than I am Tet McMillan. But that's just me. But I have to be logical and guide the ship properly and not be saying, oh, this is the number 2 ranked wide receiver. He can't be. But the upside is still there. And his situation is quietly crafty. Phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I do love all the comments where people, they take, and I appreciate it because that's their guy. Some people like, Besh, and they're like, Besh is going to be amazing. You're going to see. I get where you guys are coming from. There's a lot of bias in the building. I'm not saying I don't have some bias, but I believe if Egbuka being 5 and Burton being 6, 2 of my favorite receivers outside of Hunter are ranking at this low 5 and 6 territory, I'm being honest and unbiased because I want Burton somewhere else so badly. I knew the Chicago Bears were going to stab me in the back in some way, but I'd rather Burton stab me in the back going over to Chicago because I think they're gonna be able to throw to him at least than a running back like Scattaboo who went to the New York Giants, might I say, so he can cook.
Let him cook.
What a spot for the Scat Man. Travis, you're live.
Hey, it's going to be interesting with Bash. I guess that's how you say his name, Jack Bash.
Yeah.
Because they now have Bastion, like you're saying, Jacoby Myers, and hands of each one are like, they're going to be butting heads with each other.
Yeah.
They both think their guy is the guy. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. We're going to be doing another show after this, Travis. It's going to be a kind of a news show. So I'm not saying I'm ending this now, but when we end this show, I'll go eat and everything, come back for like a graveyard show. And it's going to be about the tug of war between Najee and Hampton, and the news that broke today that they view both running backs as their running back 1. That's going to cause a stir. Is Harvey the number 2 fantasy football running back on tonight's video and show? I don't know. He might be. I'm just telling you right now. I know Hampton. I know everybody wants Hampton to be the guy so badly, and there's no saying that his future isn't bright because Najee's on a 1-year deal. Like, I understand that, but this is not as easy as it looks for him walking into week 1, even though people are trying to will it to be the case. They're trying. You got to understand that Henderson's ability to pass block better than any running back in the National Football League has Henderson in a better spot to guarantee himself more of a 2025 long-term outlook, than Hampton's got, because Najee in the eyes of Harbaugh, can do the things that Hampton can do. It doesn't mean that Hampton won't prove us right that he's better than Najee at all those things. But Najee can do all of the things that Hampton can do, even if it's at a lesser degree, and that's going to confuse Harbaugh, who doesn't even game plan clearly or speak clearly about it. Like, this is a guy that goes to the podium and says, oh, we like Najee. Najee reminds us of a balloon. You let the balloon go, and it flies high, and eventually runs out of helium. And then that's where Hampton comes in. So until Najee's balloon falls down from the sky, we're going to use both of them and send the balloons up into the sky like butterflies. And then someday, when you're telling your kids a story, they'll be outside in the garden. And he's just talking like that's how he talks. That's how he thinks. Like, I'm not saying he's not a genius. Sometimes geniuses are crazy. Okay? People say I'm crazy all the time. Maybe I'm a genius. But at the end of the day, this is not a situation you can just trust completely. And so we'll talk about Harvey tonight, but we're going to talk about the you said tug of war, so it reminded me. The tug of war of the Raiders wide receiver room, the tug of war of the Chargers running back room, the tug of war of the Cleveland Browns running back room. Tonight's a tug of war night. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Chargers, they want to run the ball like crazy. So I guess the hope is that there's enough to go around. Because last year you saw where they tried to just run it, and Dobbins wasn't consistent enough. He was very good in the beginning with some games, and then Gus Edwards got hurt, and Dobbins was inconsistent, so he threw that playbook out the window and just started having Herbert throw 32, 33 times a game. But I think they want to go back to that huge percentage of rushing, which kind of hurts the wide receivers in that room, but.
Yeah,
maybe it will. Maybe it will be all right for the running back. Hard to say.
And Hampton will be good. There's no doubt about it. That's the funny part when someone comes in and goes, "Smitty, you're hating on Hampton." I just want to scream and say, "Are you? Do you listen? Like, do you even pay attention? How much earwax is in your ear? Like, how much can you not pay attention to what I'm saying?" Hampton's still going to be good, but when we're trying to weigh out the value of a Harvey over or a Hendy over Hampton, we have to look at all these things. And when I say a negative about Hampton's situation, that isn't a complete, it's not a cul-de-sac that he's running into and can't get out of. It's a roadblock that he can maybe barrel over or jump over or struggle to get through a little puddle of water that's 50 feet long, and then once he gets through it, he's on his way. No one's saying that isn't the case for Hampton. And it's so funny because in some cases, I still like Hampton more than the person ripping apart my take because I love all rookie running backs so much. My love for Hampton's higher than the person calling me a hater on Hampton. I just happen to love Harvey and Henderson that much that Hampton still rank higher overall in my rankings than yours, but yet you think I'm a hater on Hampton. It's craziness. Hold on, $20. Real quickly, $20 hauler from BBQ. Smitty been talking about Hunter forever, and all the content creators been chatting about Tet, Golden, and everyone else. Hunter will finish as the number one rookie wide receiver. Missed the JD5 call last year. Here to soak up the knowledge. Yeah, and man, I wish BBQ was here for that JD5 call. JD5, we crushed the JD5 call more than anyone on the face of this earth. There's no one that talked up JD5. I could say that with authority. We talked up JD5, and yeah, I don't even think Hunter's necessarily in that same vein because that was I love Hunter, but JD5 was we were screaming it, and people were telling us we're idiots and fools, and he'd get hurt, and the Washington Commanders would be garbage, and their offensive line would get him hurt, and we just came in and we just said, watch, hold our beer, go get us a coffee, because JD5 is going to land, and boy, did JD5 land. And, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what Hunter's going to do in Jacksonville, but the thing that I love is that Liam Cohen is an offensive-minded guy, and he's already said that this guy's starting off in the wide receiver room, and I don't think that means he's 100% wide receiver. And you can't take everything you hear, even from a coach, as if it's gospel right now, because things change. And, Hunter might pick up the DB stuff so quickly that he does play 60-60. 60% of the offensive snaps, 60% of the defensive snaps. not 100% of either one. Or he could play 100% wide receiver and 50% DB. We have no clue. But what I do know is he's in the right spot for it. And it's not going to tear down BTJ because this man's getting such a crazy selective amount of targets that are going to be highly efficient and productive. It doesn't take away from the volume that BTJ is going to get. So love the take. Thank you, BBQ. These 2 super chats from BBQ real quickly. Higgins is going to ball out playing the tank role. Nico will draw coverage away, in my opinion. He's a moon man. That's my prediction. I like it, BBQ. I don't hate it. I think Higgins is a great talent. That's why I have him number 1 ranked on this secondary board of wide receivers. So clearly I like him. I just don't have him in the top 6, but he's like 7, 8. So I don't disagree with you that it's a good spot. I just wonder, he's limited a little bit, right? He can only be so good in that role. But I don't, like I said, though, when I talked about it earlier, I don't know that I expected him to ever be better than the role in Houston, the way he's going to produce. Like, even if he went somewhere to be a 1, he could fail. Similar to how Polk went to New England to be the 1, he failed. If Polk was, let's say, the number 2 somewhere, maybe he would have been moved out slowly, picked up things quicker, and it would have been less pressure, and Polk could have been good. But Polk got buried because he didn't, they drafted a guy that I believe was like Higgins last year, and Polk, I wasn't a huge fan of Polk, and he didn't develop. So Higgins going where he's going is probably the best fit for him. Jags are going to utilize Hunter on offense. Might be the most ideal spot for him to land, with Cohen drawing up plays for him and BTJ. Ingram gone, lots of targets, definitely a lot of targets. And again, these targets are not so crazy going toward Hunter's direction that it's going to hurt BT. If anything, like I said earlier, BT was probably going to get some defensive attention that could have hurt his efficiency a little bit because he's the only option, or was. And now Hunter's in town. BT, let me just get this straight. I know BT was the number 4 wide receiver last year. But if you're a DB or you're a defensive coordinator or you're just playing on defense anywhere, you're probably more scared of Hunter in week 1 than you are BTJ. And I'm not saying that that's right. It's not right because we're looking at number 4 wide receiver from last year. But this guy is so hyped, Travis Hunter. As some people now coining him today, it's all over Twitter as the most gifted athlete to ever come out of college. Like, this is a guy that's going to be so, scary to defenses. Where is he going to be? BTJ was handed a gift. It doesn't look like it because nobody wants a good player to land on an offense where their players, the other guy. But this is a weird situation where I don't think he consumes enough targets that it even affects anything except for makes BT more wide open more often. Because when you think about this, right? You take Hunter, and what are you doing with Hunter? You're putting him in the lineup. What happens when you put him in the lineup? You take somebody out, right? Somebody that was going to play is now no longer on the field. That person was probably getting the same amount of targets, maybe a little less, than what Hunter's going to get. So it's not like Hunter just walks into the lineup and grabs a fistful of BT's targets and walks away. He's taking the targets that the person is that he's replacing, and he's getting maybe 1 or 2 or 3 more a game if if we're lucky. And that's it. That doesn't even affect BTJ. Now BTJ gets the same amount of targets, and all he does is produce better because defenses are kept honest. And you better hide your moms. You better hide your mamas.
He's BTJ.
Quick question.
What you gonna do? He's BTJ.
I want to ask you a question.
Put it on you. He's BTJ. Gonna have a good game. He's BTJ. Your mama screams his name.
I already had to hang up on Kyrie Boston. He's literally talking through the BTJ animation. I mean, everybody knows. You hear it going BT. Does it sound like it's time to talk, Kyrie? Does it sound like it's time for Kyrie Boston to have a conversation in the middle of the BTJ Mama video? I don't think so. So he already got hung up on. Kyrie Boston's already on a tear today. Hung up on before he even had a chance to be called upon. It's Smitty, it's Angus. Angus, appreciate you. Glad to see you back, bro. It's been a little while since you've dropped that super chat. I enjoy seeing it. Go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, just real quick, and you can go to someone else. since Hampton got drafted to the Chargers, I've seen at least a couple times in every chat someone saying Najee is Gus Edwards. And what do they mean, quality-wise, or he's going to be Gus Edwards? I can't buy into that because, he's 2 years younger. Gus Edwards is injury prone. Najee is the opposite of injury prone. And that's why Dobbins became so dominant, because he had two great games, and Gus Edwards got banged up and he took over. It's not going to be like that. Now, maybe Hampton is just so good he runs away with it, but Najee is pretty steady and pretty good, so there's a good chance he holds on to, at least a decent amount of carries throughout a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that at the evening show, too. Hernandez asked me Hunter or Henderson. I mean, my number one player is Genty and almost a tier break, but Henderson's my number 2. So, position of need definitely influences best player available, which people have a very hard time grabbing onto that. Like when I say that, they're like, Smitty, you always talk about best player available. What if you need a wide receiver? That's included in your thinking. So let's say your wide receiver scoring is through the roof, or let's say you're loaded at running back. Like, you could make a argument that Hunter is that next guy, but I think at the end of the day, I just can't pass on Henderson. I love Henderson's value. Hunter's also really, really good. You could make an argument here that if your need was so great for wide receiver and you had Bucky as your running back too, then I could get behind the Hunter pick. Hunter's going to have a great career, bro. There's nothing wrong with that thinking. And, he's the number 1 wide receiver for a reason. There's a tier break here, just like there's a tier break with Genty. You could almost say, in a way, if you're looking at tier rankings, which I'm not a big fan of, that Genty and Hunter are both in their top tier. But is the tier of Hunter equal to the secondary running back tier? I think it is. But that means the Hunter's even. Like, I would take Hendy probably, but I like Hunter near as much. I really do. It's really close. Harvey, Hunter, Hampton, and Henderson are all neck and neck. And we're going to do a mock draft, a rookie mock draft, overall mock draft very soon, too. That will be one of the next videos. Let me go around the phone line. Kyrie Boston hasn't called back. He's probably pretty pissed off. Gump's been waiting patiently without any of the grunts and moans that normally get him hung up on. Go ahead, Gump. You're live. Let's see how long it takes for you to crash out tonight. Well. What?
Want to hear the good news?
We can barely hear you, so I don't know that we'll hear it.
I said, well, do you want to hear the good news?
Sure, Gump.
Good news. The good news, if you had drafted in best ball, Gibbs, stock has gone up.
I don't know what he's saying. His stock is going up?
Bad news. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know that the Lions drafted 2 offensive guards that are.
Yeah, I mean I do, but I'm just making it abundantly clear that you're
AKA Ratledge and one AKA Frazier.
Right. But it sounds like you're speaking. The reason I'm shocked, I do this for a living, Gump, so I do know what time it is and what's going on in the NFL. But the reason I'm shocked
you're a smart man. You're smart.
Is because you are always talking up this passing attack. So for you to even say that Gibbs' value is going up, what's going to happen to the passing attack? Is it going up too, Gump? Is everything going up in Detroit? Is the loss of Ben Johnson, who you call Ben Johnson a weasel because what? He left you at the altar. And you're pissed off because he left you at the altar. You're not being objective. Ben Johnson was better from this team than the current situation you got. I mean, you got to be able to look at honesty in the face, bro.
And you must have been reading my mind, because I thought that good old Tesla kind of reminds me of Puka.
You didn't get that. Oh, reading your mind in terms of, like, I think a lot of you are.
No, I mean, no.
Yeah, you guys are off your rocker. Yeah, you're off your rocker. Yeah. You're out there thinking that Tesla's Puka, and you're wrong. He's not.
Well, the bad news is that was the good news. If you drafted Gibbs, we got 2 monster guards, and they're going to bulldoze the NFL, the top offensive team in the NFL. But if you're a Redskins fan, bad news, because the Lions have just become the best team in the NFL.
Do you think Goff is a better quarterback? Oh, Gump hung up before he could get hung up on. Well, you know what? The question I was going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you anymore then. So you want to hang up on me? You didn't. Guess what? No more phone calls for you the rest of the show. You tried dialing it. You hang up on me, Gump.
Ooh.
You don't get to call in for the rest of the show. No matter how bad. Now you hear a topic you want to talk on so badly. You hanging up on me just ruined it. No soup for you for the rest of the show. Unbelievable. Let me go over to DJ real quick and then to rock out, then back to Travis. Go ahead, DJ.
So I'm just jumping in, but I don't know. I might be the resident Bolts fan in here. Just backtracking with regard to Hampton. Like I said before, I think he was a clear-cut number 2 prior to going to Chargers. From a football standpoint, and a Chargers fan, I love it. You know, dynasty standpoint, if I'm drafting, rookie draft, I don't think I would take him 2. Whereas I think previously I would, you know, depending upon landing spot. Best ball, I think you said it, to the moon with that. Great, because even later, and I do think he's that talented. I'm not going to take anything away from Najee because he's a pro. Yeah. He hits his 1,000 yards consistent. So he knows what he's doing in that regard. The receiver rankings, I may have missed it. Not too sure about the Burton at 6. I missed my,
okay, real quickly.
That, so forgive me.
Real quickly, let me just, before you move on to the receivers. Go ahead. And we're going to talk about this more, so I don't want to talk too much on the Hampton thing. It's going to be tonight's show. But sure. I'll just say this, like, yeah, from a best ball perspective, we could be coming out of his rookie year, this current 2025 season, looking at Hampton from a per game basis and saying, if you take his last 8 games and extrapolate them over 17 games, you have wide running back 4. I think that's what we end up having out of Hampton. That's the season. That's why he's a best ball machine. So understand what I'm saying, because I'm going to reference this when somebody comes back in and Hampton is tearing it up down the stretch. I'm going to say, well, that's funny because I told you. This is a scenario where there could be some bumpy roads and ups and downs in non-best ball redraft, okay? Non-best ball redraft, where this guy is not necessarily the same player in weeks 1 through 5, week 1 through 6, weeks 1 through 7 than he is in weeks 8 on. And again, we extrapolate his final 8 games, it might be running back 4. That's how good he's going to be, but there are complications. We'll talk about that one tonight. Okay, so as for your wide receiver, you don't like this number 6 for Burton. Why? What play are you moving around? And I don't dislike your take. I'm just curious what you're saying.
Right, and as I said, I missed what your take was previously, but just on my own thoughts and looking at the board, I think I would move Higgins just from a standpoint of pathway. Like you pointed out yesterday, and even on draft night, as it relates to the wide receiver room, I think he could get faded in. He might be good best ball, maybe. But I mean, you still have Andunze and you still have more.
Okay, but back to Burton. Higgins is volatile. Like everybody on this secondary list: Higgins, Besh, Harris, Royals, Savion, Bond, Restrepo, Tesla, Noel. These guys are not in elite situations. So like these are all going to be. It's very easy to say Higgins is third on this secondary list, and Besh should be 1 or Besh should be 4. Like I get all that. But Burton, talk of Burton. Yeah. You don't like the Burton spot. Where are you moving Burton up? Because you're talking about Higgins now. I'm talking about Burton.
No, he's saying Burton. He's saying Higgins could go above Burton.
Oh, you're saying you don't like the hit. Okay, I thought you were saying you didn't like the Burton value, like he should be higher. You think Burton should be lower?
Right. No, I would move Higgins in just from, I think, opportunity. And looking at 2 years prior with both Delp as well as help me out. The number 1. Derek Houston.
Nico.
Yeah, so let me just say this. Let me just say this.
So the pathway, I think, to target share is a lot higher at 6. And I'll say the same for Harris.
So I'm gonna say that your Burton take isn't crazy, even though I love Burton. I love him. I want to defend him. He is in as much of a sharing situation as anybody, if not more than Higgins. So I could get behind what you're saying. Like if you want to swap Burton and Higgins and redraft, I could totally get behind that because he's the third wide receiver, maybe the fourth option on the team if you think Loveland's going to consume. So Burton's the fourth option on the team with the quarterback that scrambles all over the place. The only person that knows where Caleb's going to throw the ball is DJ Moore, because he's played with him long enough. Yeah, gotten, absolutely leveled left and right by this guy's hospital balls and second chance routes he's got to run. DJ Moore's smart enough to go, hey, Burton, let me give you a piece of advice. Run your first route 50%, because Caleb's not going to throw it to you. Then once Caleb scrambles outside the pocket, run your second route, okay? And then once he's on the sideline looking for the final throw, go 100%. Hit turbo boost, use 100% of your energy on your second chance route, and you'll be fine. DJ Moore knows what's up. He knows he's not getting the ball properly from Caleb Williams. So, yeah, Burton, I can understand that. The talent makes me – it's so hard for me to move him. But, bro, it's a great point. Higgins is the 2. Even though it sounds weird to say Higgins' pathway is better, I mean, Burton's the 3. I don't hate the take.
Yeah. If Williams throws it at all, I mean, Caleb is something else. He might not even throw the ball, but that's a whole nother story.
You know what's interesting? Real quickly, what's interesting about everybody not on the top row? So you got Hunter, McMillan, and Kyle Williams. Everybody else is in a crowded situation. Everybody. Golden, even if Golden's the number 1 option, most likely, they've never invested in a wide receiver in the first round for ages. And Egbuka's in a crowded environment. Burton's in a crowded environment. Higgins, Besh is in a crowded environment to it, in a sense. Harris, Royals, Bond isn't on a team. These are all players in crowded environments. Everyone. There's only 3 wide receivers that have a huge pathway to their team's number 1 target. Well, Hunter's is not number 1 targets, but it's number 1 target share in its efficiency. These 3 guys are really the ballers right now. This is legitimately a redraft and best ball tier break right here. The top 3 guys, and then everybody else, you're just hoping things, pencil out right. Golden could get into this conversation of getting the number 1 targets, but I don't think it's going to be as simple as people think. Golden's never had a 1,000-yard season in college. You think he's just walking into Green Bay and he's just going to become this 1,400-yard rookie receiver like a BTJ? I don't think so. This is an 800, 900-yard season just like he's had in college, with hopefully like 6-7 touchdowns and a lot of upside to become something special in the future.
Yeah, I can't speak to that in terms of I can't say anything different than that. Golden, I think, is brisk, but upside could be high. With that said, if we're looking at Green Bay's wide receiver room, Savion, I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to get. They're going to manufacture touches for him. So I like that pick. It's not going to take anything away from Golden or the other receivers. I think they're just going to use him as a utility knife.
Well, they better,
with their lack of running back depth.
I mean, he's Deebo Samuel. He's Deebo Samuel. He's what they wanted Jaden Reed to be. We'll see if Green Bay's smart enough to make him into their Jaden Reed / Deebo. I don't know that they are, though, bro. I don't know that they are. The fact that this team came out, and we should have listened to him. I wasn't quite on board with the way Love was talking and the way this whole team was talking from the top down, that they don't have a number 1. They don't need a number 1. They're all kind of number 1s. They're all 1Bs or whatever. And we're sitting here going, nah, Love's just saying that to be nice to everybody, I think. Right? Because Jaden Reed's a 1. He really is a 1. He's a low-end wide receiver 1, but he's a 1. He's a low-end league 1, but he's a 1. Nope. They were right. We were wrong. They truly believed that. They truly executed like that. And that worries me. Do I trust this team to make Savion as good as he could become? No. Am I hopeful for it? Yeah. Am I grabbing him in leagues and stashing him? Right. Yes, because Savion he's such a Deebo Samuel. He's so Deebo. He's the next Deebo, but will they get it out of him? I don't know. All right, hang on, DJ. Let me circle around just to move the phone line around. Rock out, you're live. Real quick, rock out.
Yeah, with Hunter being like one of your top rookies, how would you rank Hunter and BTJ in the year?
I think BTJ's top 5, 6. I think Hunter is like 11 to 15. You know, maybe outside the top 12 to be safe, but like I'm hopeful, right? But I think this is an elite wide receiver 2 in fantasy, and I think his expectation is in that like low end 2 or high 3. So no matter what, he's earning his keep. It's just a matter of, does he slip into the ones, or does he just kind of, he's so dynamic, but he's kind of inconsistent. You know what I mean? Like, he could definitely have his moments. He'd be great in best ball. He's a much better best ball player than he is a redraft or non-best ball player, just because he probably could have 3 games of nothing, you know, but you don't have to start him. You don't have to suffer through that in best ball, because best ball, your best options are started for you. That's the whole nature of best ball. So in best ball, he's going to be awesome because he's going to have spike weeks, and you might only start him 5 or 6 times in best ball, but he's going to help win you a league in those games. So very different player in best ball and non-best ball, but I still think there's a world where he is consistent. We'll have to see. But I love him.
And in a weird way, I kind of would put Kyle Williams over McMillan. I just think he's more dynamic, and McMillan sometimes doesn't play his size and gets jammed at the line.
Rock out, I want to badly. I'm before the end of the week, you might see Kyle Williams over McMillan.
Like, he's still good, but I just feel that way.
Yep. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me go over to Kyrie Boston, who called in from his other number. And then I'll go back to Travis. Go ahead, Kyrie. You slipped in through the back channels. Hello? Kyrie? Is he really going to get hung up on again?
I had you on mute.
God. The guy can't win. He can't win. He was scrambling for the phone, too. I already hit the button, so it's a little delayed on the hang-up. So, Kyrie, you want to try it again? We'll try it a third time's the charm. But the man he was cooking pasta or something, had the phone on the stand across the kitchen, and he's running, scrambling to get it going. Kyrie, let's try it again. Here he is right here. Go ahead, Kyrie Boston. Let's try third time's the charm. Third time's the charm, Kyrie.
I was on mute, Smitty.
Okay.
I was on mute.
I got you.
All right. I was just trying to tell you that I wanted to ask a question about the Titans wide receivers. The rookie they grabbed a rookie in the draft, I think in the 2nd or 3rd round. Maybe they might have grabbed another wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know their names?
Yeah, they grabbed 3 guys. Restrepo is the best of the lot, in my opinion. I know that they drafted him after their first selection, Alec Manor or whatever his name is. Manure. I like both of them, but keep in mind the rapport that Restrepo has got with Cam Ward. Like, Cam Ward went and like begged the team, according to reports, to draft Restrepo. And if you think, I don't know that he'll have full control over like elevating him, but I think that the rapport is going to be amazing. So we'll see. They're both good receivers. Io Manor he's a decent.
How do you compare him to Ridley though?
Ridley's old, bro. I don't
Ridley?
know. I'm not on board the Ridley train. I'm done with Ridley. Is Ridley an okay wide receiver 4? Sure. But if I'm talking dynasty, give me Restrepo. But Restrepo is hard to bank on, though. He's a sleeper. But I think these other 2 receivers that they drafted, one is obscure. He's not going to do anything. The other is Io Manor, who Io Manor is a pretty decent prospect. He was bouncing around like the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and it's a wide range of wide receivers. But he's been as high as like people 6 or 7 at some point in the offseason to falling outside the top 10. Everybody gets really crazy and amped up about having the secret weapon. So like, he's been mentioned. Everybody's been mentioned. People have had Noel mentioned, Royals and Harris and Tesla and Besh and Higgins. Everybody's kind of like, promoting those guys in their own little circles, and it's hard to really not let that affect and influence you. But Restrepo is the guy I believe will rise because of the rapport. But I mean, hard to say, man. This is not an easy task talking about these wide receivers in the secondary area right over here on the right side. These names without the images. This is like a grab bag blender, you know, where Restrepo could be the one, Noel can be the one of this group, Higgins could be the one, Best should be the group, or it could be the one, Harris could, but they're all in cloudy situations. And these guys are in cloudy situations too, though. They're all, this entire bottom area, everybody but the top three, Hunter, McMillan, and Williams, are in crowded areas. And while McMillan is kind of in a crowded area too, it's not one where he's not rising above talent-wise pretty quickly. So I'm not considering that crowded. All right, Kyrie, what else you got?
No, I thought Ted McMillan was in the best area going to the Panthers, actually.
It's good. It's a good one. I mean, do you like Bryce Young better than Drake May? And you can say yes to that, but I don't. I like Drake May more. I like Bryce Young, but he's still. I'm still keeping my.
Bryce Young never had no weapons, though. This is the first time them giving him any weapons for real, Smitty.
Well, you can say the same thing about Drake May.
Drake May had no wide receiver.
Drake May had less weapons. Drake May had less weapons than he did. Drake May had less weapons than he did.
Pretty much the same. Yeah, they pretty much the same.
Okay.
I think Drake May is better because he runs the ball.
Why we got to yell like that when what I'm saying is you agree with it at the end? You're like, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah, I agree with it because Drake May runs the ball a little bit more, and I think his arm might even be better.
All right,
I agree with it.
Money Mitch dropping a $20. Hold on, Money Mitch dropping a $20 holler. My boy Money Mitch coming in strong with a super chat. Let's help out Money Mitch real quickly. Hold on. Here's Money Mitch's super chat. It is as follows. Money Mitch says, I'm at the 3-4 turn right now in Dynasty Startup, and I have Josh Allen, Nico Collins so far. Brees, Rice, Kyler, Hampton, Hunter, Laporta, Kyron, Ward, Higgins. Let's cook up the next two picks. Okay, 3-4 turn right now, Dynasty Startup. Okay, you have Josh Allen, Nico.
Superflex?
I have Josh Allen, Nico. Yeah, you didn't tell if it was Superflex, bro. Money Mitch, can you give us that information real quickly? Is it Superflex? Is it not? I think
Superflex, yeah.
Superflex. Okay. So I don't know that I'm drafting Kyler ahead of. Damn, this is tough. I probably say I think Kyron falls. I think Brees Hall falls. So you don't grab those. Rice will fall. Maybe Hampton here. Gives you a solid running back. He's going to have a bright future. It's a pretty good pick. I don't know. What do you think, Travis? I like Kyron, but I think you could get him later. I think you could get Kyron and Hampton if you go this route. Kyler's hard to.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got 2 picks. Okay, so I guess super flex. Go Kyler Hampton. Go Kyler Hampton.
Yeah,
I'm tempted to say Hunter and Hampton, and then you go like Fields later. I guess that's the question you got to ask yourself.
I didn't see Hunter.
Do you like Hunter and
Hampton?
Hunter, Hampton, and Fields, or Dak later? Money Mitch, is there a strong chance that Dak or Fields or both last? Can you tell me the answer to that? Because that will definitely influence my answer. If you could get Dak or Fields later, screw Kyler and go Hunter and Hampton. It's a great question, though, Money Mitch. And I'm sure a lot of people are intrigued by this question. Let me go back over to here. No love for Beck. He's right here. He's circled, Fred. I know you want Beck to be, or Besh. I know you want Besh to be the top 4, top 3 guy. I don't know what it is with these cultic followings of certain players. Like, how do you love Besh so much that I have him ranked too low for you? How do you love Besh that much? How do you guys love Tesla so much that it's ridiculously disrespectful to have him as low as I have him on this list? It's asinine to me. It's the rooting for the underdog. I mean, it's craziness, man. It's crazy. I like Besh, but it's respectable right here. Burton, Higgins, Besh, very comparable. How does this get comments like, we don't like Besh? He's sitting there at number 9. He's in my top 10 wide receivers. What more do you want? It's crazy. It's insane.
This is a couple people are asking for the phone number. I don't know if you have a chance.
Sick Nasty, thanks. Okay. What did he end up saying for the question? Did he say that Dak or Fields would fall? Let us know on that. That will help me make the decision. But right now, I'll say Kyler and Hampton. But I want to say Hunter and Hampton, and then you go Fields or Dak later. Dak would be great.
Dak probably not. Fields and JJ. I'm assuming he needs McCarthy. Be at round 5.
I'd go him. I mean, you already have Allen at your 1, but that's just my opinion.
Well,
and then you get your upside in your second flex.
Yeah. Yeah. Superflex makes it tough though. But okay, let me go to Amenors. We got him like, I would say he's right here with Noel. Like I just ran out of space. You could put Manor right there. All right, here's the phone number. But if you're calling in because you want me to repeat everything.
Into the show.
I'm not going to repeat everything for you dialing into the show, whoever said that, because you missed. He's like, I don't want to rewind. Like, what do we think? I'm going to redo the whole show for you while everybody just sits here and the views tank? Smitty's repeating himself. I think I'll go ahead and come back. Let me go get a sandwich. Sorry, Kyrie, did I interrupt? Yes, go ahead, Kyrie.
No, I just wanted to ask a quick question. I was going to ask you about the Williams kid from the Patriots. I was going to see, you think he's, you were saying that he could be the number 2, but who's our number 1? That's what made me curious. I was like, is it Douglas or Diggs or Pope?
Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention, Kyrie? I feel like do you not watch the show? Where did I say Kyrie?
No.
Kyle Williams is good. Kyrie Boston. Where did I say Kyle Williams was going to be the Patriots' number 2 receiver? Because he's number 3 on the rookie rank.
A few minutes ago.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you had to replay the show for yourself, but somewhere you said
I got to replay the show for myself. I've got Kyle Williams as the number 3 rookie receiver.
No,
on the board
you said
here,
the number 2 on the Patriots. You said he was going to be the number 2 on the Patriots.
No, I didn't.
He was talking to Rocco about McMillan.
I said I might move Kyle Williams to the number 2 spot over McMillan, is what I said.
Oh,
God, Kyrie Boston's gonna.
I misheard you. I thought you said he was the number 2.
Yes, you did. So maybe I won't rewatch my own show then. So I don't need to replay my own show?
No. I might have misheard you. Misheard you. I'm sorry.
I got you. Okay, let me go over to this new caller real quickly. This is the this 346 caller. You're live. What can I do for you? What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Smitty? I'm Tim. I'm from Houston.
What's up? Timo?
Yeah, it's fine.
Ham?
It's fine.
Ham?
Well, I'm calling to say is that I see Besh, but I see your top 10, but I don't understand how you don't have Dante Thornton Jr. in his 10, especially over Jalen Royals.
Who?
Dante Thornton Jr., receiver, Tennessee, 6'5", 4.340.
Yeah, I mean, he's
drafted by the Raiders in the 4th round before Jalen Royals.
Well, look, there are a lot of players that could be on this list. Like I said, when Noel was on this list, and I cut it off. I cut it off at my ranking. So yeah, he's not in this ranking, but doesn't mean he's right next to Noel and below. There's a lot of players that could have still ranked.
The problem with Jalen Noel in the Texans depth chart is that he still got to beat out John Mechie III, Christian Kirk, who just got $16 million.
Mm-hmm.
His pathway to play time is much more difficult than Dante Thornton Jr. or Jack Besh. Well, I see you have him on your list, but Dante Thornton Jr. is looking at Trey Tucker and DJ Turner to beat out in camp. Pete Carroll just got there. I
don't dislike
Dante Thornton Jr. to get them.
I don't dislike him.
That's the best player they have.
I don't dislike him, but how is
me crazy?
I mean, I don't think you can say that about these guys, bro. All these guys are in a freaking blender. I mean, to suggest that someone's crazy because they don't have your guy ranked where you have him is an asinine take. It's an asinine take.
Well,
this is a blender of players.
That's the pick you want to make late in drafts.
Okay, there's a lot of picks you can make late in drafts. Okay, well, according to you. But I'm not saying he can't climb up either. A lot depends on how it's going to go down, bro. But not everybody's got a clear pathway. No one's got a clear pathway. You have these guys at the top, on the top row.
Some rosters are easier to crack than others.
Okay.
Jalen Noah's going to have a hard time cracking the roster.
Well, that's why I got him ranked last.
Rasheed Rice insurance. And I meant to say Jalen Noah. Jalen Noah has he might make the team, but he's looking at fourth, fifth receiver at best.
Okay.
Besh and Thornton are the future of the Raiders at receiver. Jacoby Myers is in the spring chicken.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. Let me just get this straight. You got Geno Smith, the 35-year-old quarterback, and Ashton Jeanty, who you're going to base everything around. You got Besh, who's supposed to be this golden boy. You got Jacoby Myers, who's a top 12 wide receiver according to the majority of the fantasy community. Listen, walking into the NFL draft, this top 12 golden boy, Jacoby Myers. Now you draft Besh. Now you got another wide receiver. So Besh and this other wide receiver, Thornton's got it. They got to be ranked in this crazy top 12 or 11, or you're insane, bro. Come on, man. That's a bad take.
No.
Anything can happen. The fact that he's right below Noel, the fact that he's right below, he's near Torrey Holton and Jalen Lane and those guys. Thornton could be good. He could be. But he's more of a reach than you're making it out to be. You got Jacoby Myers and your golden boy Besh and Flowers and Jeanty. How the hell is Geno going to feed Thornton that much work? Come on, bro. That's a horrible take. To say, hey, keep an eye on him. You know, he could be a sleeper. But you're coming in and saying that I'm insane. It's insane take is what you said. To not have Thornton inside this.
I'm not saying you in particular, Smitty. I'm saying like people in general or everybody that plays fantasy football. You look at the Raiders. You see what they're doing. They bring in Jeanty. They bring in Besh. They bring in Thornton Jr. They took Brock Bowers last year. Jacoby Myers really wasn't fighting for targets with nobody in that offense.
Bro,
he's gonna have new, younger, faster, stronger competition for targets.
You're telling me the third. So is Myers gonna get benched? You're saying, because that's not gonna happen.
No. In three receiver sets.
So
Jacoby Myers will be out there. So Besh will be out there.
In the Raiders' offense, based around Jeanty and Bowers, with Geno Smith in a system that Pete Carroll runs 2 wide receiver sets more than he runs 3 wide receiver sets. You understand what you're saying to me? You understand? You called into a show calling my take crazy when you have a coach, Pete Carroll, who's probably running more 2 wide receiver sets than he ever dreams of running the 3 wide receiver sets. And the third wide receiver is the guy you're giving me a hard time for? What?
Besh and Thornton block.
Oh, so now he's going to run. So he's going to change the way he operates. Because Thornton's going to block.
And in a dynasty sense, they will be taking quarterback next year.
Let's back up to when you
Jacoby will be a year older.
When you called in and said that it's great to take to not have Thornton on this very short list that I have up on the screen right here. I have a very short list from Higgins to Noel, and it's a crazy take to have Noel ahead of a guy that's never going to see the field unless he unseats your golden boy Besh or unseats the golden boy that everybody seems to love in Jacoby Myers and is all playing second fiddle with Geno Smith as the quarterback to mother freaking Bowers and Jeanty. Bro, this is a ridiculous conversation.
I say that for Noel because they signed Christian Kirk, they signed Braxton Berrios.
Okay. Your point's been taken. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's all I want to say. Okay. Make sure y'all take Dante Thornton Jr. in your draft.
Can I ask a question about this?
It's mainly the approach, bro. If you would have called in and said, hey, a guy I like Smitty is Thornton, this conversation would have went a whole lot different. Like, yeah, you know, I mean, you like him over Noel? I can make that. I can understand
Thornton over Noel.
I can understand that argument, but your take was it's a crazy take, Smitty, to not have Thornton on this list when he's the third wide receiver on a team that doesn't run 3 wide receiver sets. That's the crazy take. The crazy take's to say that my take's crazy. I'm not saying he can't be a sleeper, but you came in swinging big for him, bro, and there's no chance that he has a good opportunity out of the gate. I wouldn't be surprised if he's deactivated in week 1. I mean, come on.
I don't see that for him at
all.
Well,
you don't see that because you want him to be great.
But I'm telling you, Dante Thornton Jr. has an easier path to play time than Jalen Noel does.
No, he doesn't. He
doesn't.
He doesn't because
Jacoby
look, the Texans could have 3 wide receivers on the field a lot of the time. I don't think you're picking up on what I'm trying to say. The Texans will have 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide receivers on the field. The Raiders run 2 wide receiver sets. How is Thornton got a better path to the starting lineup with Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, your best Golden Boy, and Genty and all these weapons? How does he have a better path? Bro, walk it back. You still have time to walk it back. You got time to walk it back.
Thornton is better than DJ Turner and Trey Tucker.
Good. Then he can grab the first bench spot.
Best is coming off a knee, right?
The same as Tucker.
What are you doing?
Straight line guy.
Okay, so let's say he grabs a hold of the third wide receiver spot. He's next man up. That's good. That's good for a boy his age.
He's boundary receiver. Best will probably be in the slot.
Oh, so they're running 3 wide receiver sets all of a sudden. News to me. All right, thank you, pal. Appreciate you. I'm done with that conversation. We're just going in circles. 3 wide receiver set. I don't think he thought that.
I had a quick question.
I don't think he thought that went through. He called in and tried to roast me for my rankings and said it since he didn't say, "Hey, Smitty, there's a guy I want to tell you about. I like him. I know who he is." But he say this is a guy I like. Calls in, tries to suggest that my rankings are insane. And then that logic just didn't. Go ahead, Kyrie.
I had a question because you were talking about Pete Carroll running 3 wide receivers. He had 3 wide receivers last year for Seattle. Did he run 3 wide receivers?
He wasn't in Seattle. Come on, bro.
Finish him.
God. Is anybody paying attention? Is anybody paying attention? He wasn't in Seattle. Grubb got fired. Okay, let me go back to Rock Out real quickly. I'm going to circle off the phone line, go get some food, come back for a slightly after midnight show. Go ahead, Rock Out. You're live.
Yeah, as much as we hated Burton with the Bears, as far as like real football, it basically gives them a chance to be like, are we giving you all the options? It'll be like clear for the Bears to know Caleb's not the guy that they think he is or is.
Can you imagine if Caleb fails in this situation? And for those of you that think I just hate on Caleb, and I've been right the entire way. I think
better than last year's situation ever.
I think Caleb can play like Goff. You know, like I don't think that's that hard for Caleb to play like Goff. No. If he can't even play like Goff, then I don't know what Caleb is going to be capable of even doing. But if Caleb doesn't play like Goff, then it's what? Rock Out.
But I was gonna say, I think if the Patriots didn't take Henderson, the Bears would have took Henderson.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, Travis, your Patriots saved my world and my day. My day would have been flushed down the toilet.
I think that might have been what was gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, my heart already broke enough that Burton went to the Bears, but at least that was like a jab. That was a jab to the gut. I'm fine. I could recover. Take a deep breath. I'm good. But if Henderson and Bears, that would have been like, that would have been like slapping me in the face with a wet hand and then pulling my shirt over my head and like pushing me down in front of my audience. that would have been quite the hit. All right, I gotta go. Let me go over to Kyrie Boston real quick. Go ahead.
You know, these Bears fans are all celebrating about Burton going there. They think that they hit the lottery, man.
I mean, he's a great player, but yeah, I don't know. I think
they're loving it.
He's a great player. He's a great player. I did a post on Instagram and on YouTube saying that I'm so excited about where Burton goes in the second day, because he didn't get drafted in day one. He hit the field at midnight, started doing drills, and I'm like, I love this kid. I love him. I love everything about him. And there's a world where look at Goff. St. Brown, Jameson Williams, if Caleb can be Goff, then I think Burton can eat eventually. But this is crowded. Burton's the number 3. He might be the 4th option because of Loveland. How is his rookie year going to be super consistent? It'll take him a while to get going. Once DJ Moore is out of there, once Loveland settles and maybe he's not as good as people think then all of a sudden Burton's competing with the Dunze to be the one, like St. Brown and J-Mo are. So maybe that's the way it goes. And I'm not writing off the idea that can go that route. But from a redraft perspective, it is hard to put Burton any higher than 6 or 5, because it's a cloudy situation. Golden's is the least cloudy situation. Golden's is the least cloudy situation, but it's still cloudy, deceptively cloudy.
Mm-hmm. You're right, but Doomsday ain't even getting the targets. He was the 9th overall draft pick last year.
On the clock with a 2.4 in a 10-team league. Who are you going with? Burton, Higgins, Kyrie Williams, Besh, or Trey Harris? I'm going Kyle Williams without much of a hesitation. I mean, he's my 3rd ranked wide receiver. I know you're mixing in, some different, future thinking than this is a dynasty / redraft board. I kind of talked a little bit about how Egbuka and Burton are kind of ranked more redraft on this board. And then in dynasty, I think Egbuka could move as high as 2 if his situation clears out. And his situation, it's kind of like, the way I look at Egbuka's situation is that there's definitely going to be a blow up that happens. Like his receiver room is going to ignite and blow up and move everything out of the way, and it's going to be a clear hole, like blowing a landmine in a mine. It's going to be completely wiped clean soon, and then Egbuka walks in as the number 1. Whereas Burton can't maybe do that because of Dunze. Golden might not be able to do that because it could be Green Bay and those wide receivers are all kind of just mixed around. Higgins can't do that because of Nico. Besh can't do that because he's got Bowers and Myers and this Superman Thornton on the bench waiting to come in and take over, and Genty. So there's too much. The only guy that here on this bottom area at all that has a clear path to the number 1 wide receiver role in time is Egbuka. So these rankings pretty much are the same in redraft and dynasty, to be honest, except for Egbuka. Egbuka's the guy that in dynasty changes the whole board, maybe goes to 2 or 3. And I kind of like Kyle Williams at 2 in redraft and dynasty a little more as the show is going on, and I might make that change later. All right, Kyrie Boston, I'm calling tonight. We'll see you later, bro. I got to go get something to eat.
I have one more thing to say, Smitty.
Hey, hurry up.
Dynasty.
Hurry up.
I was just going to say my dynasty team that won the championship got the first pick in the draft this year. Okay. They also got the first pick in the draft. We won the chip with 13-1.
Nice job.
And I got the first pick.
Go get Genty.
I just checked, huh?
Go get Genty.
That's what I'm going to do.
All right.
Appreciate you, Smitty. I'll call you later.
Later. DJ, final thoughts. Thank you, Nick.
As I've been listening to everyone, I think what I started thinking about, and I'll go into it later on another call, but are the schemes. And I was just thinking about Burton's role and Loveland. Burton perhaps being the St. Brown. I'm not saying he is that. Because Dunze is an outside, but he's a Z, and Moore is an outside. For the most part, there is no more real slot, which is where St. Brown plays. And I'll leave you with that thought. But as I'm thinking about it, schemes and how they're going to be lined up play a lot with this. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Burton could definitely be that guy, but keep in mind that doesn't always mean that the slot will be, first of all, Dunze can line up everywhere. And I think that you're going to see more of that. But
this is true.
Burton could be could be all over the field, yeah. But I don't know that it always means that the number one wide receiver is going to be the number one wide receiver that, that Ben Johnson had in his old system. Like sometimes like you see the Gibbs and Monty comparison. In a lot of these two-headed monster backfields, the Monty version might be better than the Gibbs version. You know what I mean? Like, so example would be Ben Johnson's rushing attack. He might have Swift be more valuable. I really don't see Swift staying healthy, but he did pretty good last year. But he could have a more productive, RB2. Like, let's say that this running back rookie that they took, what's his face? What's his name? Mana guy. Yeah. Very, very solid prospect, actually. He could be, even though he's the Monty, he could be the best running back, and Swift be the Gibbs, would be a little more watered down version of Gibbs, and the better running back be the Monty version. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know that I would just necessarily run into this saying that Burton's going to be the number one. But I love Burton, bro. I really hope Burton and Odunze are the only men left standing after this year, and then we can walk into next season at least saying, okay, unfortunately they're stuck with Caleb, but Caleb could be Goff. And if Goff and Ben Johnson can do the same things, Caleb and Ben Johnson can do the same things that Ben Johnson and Goff could do, then that means Jamo Williams might be Burton's, floor in time. Yeah.
I get that. I just in general, looking at these wide receivers, something that I think I was missing in thinking of the ranking in the positions or between schemes and where the players typically line up at. Great point. I get the point.
All right. Yeah. All right. Got to go. Call him tonight, DJ. Appreciate you. Rock out real quickly, 10 seconds, because I got to go. I got to run.
No, I'll catch you later.
All right. Rock out to the moon. Travis, anything real quick?
No, I'll get you today.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be back tonight. And Michael with a $20 holler. Michael, my boy, coming in strong. Boom.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Michael says, Michael's always trading. I haven't heard from Michael in a while. Michael, good to see you. How do you project Odunze going forward? He's my wide receiver 5 on my team. I have picks 1 and 3, and is going to take Hunter at the 1 and either Genty or Hampton, depending on who falls. You shouldn't take Hunter a 1. I'd take Genty 1. Hunter will probably be there at 3. I don't think, unless there's some weird defensive scoring. I've offered to trade away Nix and Odunze for JD5 and 2.1. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Give me JD5. I do like Odunze a lot, but my projection for him is going to be something along the lines of like a wide receiver 12 to 15. I think he's got upside, but again, I don't trust Caleb enough to put him that high. And there's a lot of mouths to feed. I think he's really, really good, but I'd say like 12 to 15. And I'm giving up a 12 to 15 wide receiver to get JD5, personally. Especially with how deep your team is. He's your wide receiver 5. Like, you're throwing this is icing on the cake. You just throw Rome Odunze straight in, upgrade your QB spot, your lineup goes up. Michael, your lineup improves tremendously. And I like Bo Nix, but your lineup improves tremendously by making this trade. Chat, do you agree? Trade away your 5th wide receiver, Odunze? All right, appreciate you all. BBQ with a $5 holler says Commanders are getting a new stadium. JD5 scores. Again, call it Himothy Dome. They should. Himothy gift shop. They can sell my shirt. Michael, appreciate you. Does everybody agree with the take I gave Michael? You got your 5th wide receiver in Odunze. You trade Nix to get JD5, right? We doing it right? Right? See you all tonight. Smash the like button, says Travis. Make sure you let him know if you do that trade. Who's doing that trade? Odunze and Nix for JD5. And Odunze is your wide receiver 5. Please give a vote for Michael. Let him know what you think. I want him to get some group think on this. I would do it. I'd take JD5 as my, if you're not even using Odunze. Not saying that I just give him away, but this is what you're doing. You're getting an upgrade. See you tonight.